What's up everyone? Welcome to another video. So in this video we're going to be talking about 5 applications that I think everybody should at least know about, and I would highly recommend all of these 5 applications to anyone. So the first one we're going to take a look at is going to be Obsidian. And Obsidian is a note-taking application, and the good thing about Obsidian compared to many is that it offers a lot of functionalities that you might not find in a complete package, so to say. So besides taking notes, which you can find in other programs such as OneNote or Notepad, for instance, if you want to use the complete bare bones, or if you use something completely different like KeepNote for Windows, I think Obsidian is just way better since it's kind of similar to OneNote, but it offers more functionalities than OneNote does itself. So you can take notes, obviously, and just by using plain text, but you can also draw all sorts of graphs and figures inside of your note-taking by using the canvas function inside of Obsidian. Then Obsidian also offers synchronizations or a synchronization between all your applications or your devices, sorry. So if you have it on multiple devices, you can simply just synchronize between those. And it's also encrypted when you use those functionalities. So it takes care of your privacy. It has more integrated functions compared to, for instance, OneNote and KeepNote and other note-taking applications. You can draw and link and take pictures and have all of these inside your notes, which is really neat, to be honest. And then it uses the Markdown language that some of you might be familiar with if you've ever tried to write in LaTeX or something similar like that. What's the other one? I think it's just based off of LaTeX. I just can't remember the name of it right now. But if you've ever tried to write a report in LaTeX, you would be able to use the Markdown language just as well in this application. I use Obsidian for all of my notes, personally. I really enjoy it whenever I'm doing stuff. It's very simple for me to just use it. For you, if you haven't tried Markdown language, you might need to read a bit up on the documentation. That should be fairly easy to find if you just Google Obsidian Markdown examples or something like that. You would be redirected to the official Obsidian documentation for how to use the Markdown language. And once you get a hold of that, it's very easy to use. So I highly, highly recommend Obsidian for everyone. Next up, we have 7-zip. 7-zip is a compression program. And what is compression? Well, for those of you who don't know, compression is where you make files smaller in size. Sometimes you have to use decompression as well. So if you download something from the internet or from a file server or something like that, it might be compressed into a smaller file size. And then you have to, for instance, unzip it, which most of you have done, I would assume. And that's actually decompressing it into its full size, so you get the files from the compressed folder. So why do I recommend 7-zip? Well, I recommend it mainly because it has a lot of various formats that it supports compared to, for instance, zip. Zip is just installed on Windows by default, but it doesn't support as many formats as 7-zip. And I've tried WinRAR, which is another good, let's say, open source or free tool that you can use, but I got pretty tired of having the pop-up that would ask for donations. And I just felt like 7-zip was more lightweight and more responsive in general. It could take more formats, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So I would recommend 7-zip just because it's very simple to get to work, up and running, so to say. You simply just download it, install it, and it's good to go. So whenever you right-click something that's zipped and you want to unzip it, you can just choose 7-zip as the compression or decompression program. And it compresses files, I think, better as well compared to both zip and WinRAR, which are, I'd say, the most common used ones by people who might not invest a lot of time into looking into stuff like this. So I'd recommend 7-zip just because it offers a lot more functionality and performs better in an overall scenario, I'd say. You could obviously always find outliers that would compress way better than 7-zip, I'm sure of that. But for the majority of people, this is a good product to go with. The third application, the third, the third, the third application that we're going to take a look at is going to be the Brave browser. And right now, while I'm recording, I'm actually using the Brave browser. So why would I recommend another browser compared to something like Google Chrome, for instance, that many people use? Well, first of all, the main reason for me is that Brave or the Brave browser is privacy first. And I think that's a very nice thing to have personally. So while Google Chrome is good, it just tries to gain as much information about you as well and report it back to Google, to be honest. So I like the privacy first part about Brave compared to many other browsers. And obviously it offers a built-in ad blocker, anti-tracking, and then it just loads pages faster because there's none of that pesky fluff like commercials or ads that needs to be loaded. They're simply just removed from the sites, which is really neat. So you have a nice clean view of what you're working with inside your browser. I'd say it's also more responsive. It doesn't use as much like resources on your system like RAM and such. So it's very good for laptops as well. If you have it on your work laptop, or if you can get permission to have it on your work laptop, I'd recommend that as well. Or in general, just use it at home if you don't mind having a browser that might look a little different on the icon, but actually performs better than the well-known Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or something like that. So I'd highly recommend the Chrome, or not the Chrome browser, I highly recommend the Brave browser, simply because privacy first and it runs great, to be honest. Fourth on the list is going to be Flameshot. I had some trouble trying to record this while showcasing what it can actually do, so I'm just going to let you look it up yourself, but you can watch in this small window down here in the center left, what you can actually do of all sorts of type of functionalities. What I personally like about Flameshot is that you can target a piece of the screen that you want to screenshot, and if you misalign it, you can move it around, or you can resize both, like upscale and downscale the particular area that you want to take a screenshot of. In my day-to-day job, I use this a lot on my machine, simply because I have to send a lot of pictures to people, to end users, about how to do certain things. Like I can draw arrows on my screenshots. I can put nice blocks around, like draw attention to certain areas in the screenshots for the end user to look at. I can also use the blur function, which I find really useful. If I can't, sometimes you can't avoid having to show something that you don't really want to, and instead of like drawing all sorts of wacky lines across your screenshot that you need to send to someone, you can simply just use the blur function to blur out any data that that end user might not have to look at. And I think Flameshot is just way better compared to a lot of the inbuilt tools that you've tried over the time and with Windows, especially the snipping tool. It offers way less functionality compared to Flameshot, and there are other screenshot tools such as Greenshot, but I just felt Greenshot was not as responsive. Flameshot was loading faster, and it was just more fluid to say, like more responsive when I tried to use it in general. So my personal choice would be Flameshot over, for instance, something like Greenshot, which is also a good choice in general compared to all of the inbuilt functionalities, such as the snipping tool in Windows. So I'd highly recommend Flameshot as well. I use it on a daily basis, both on work and whenever I use it in tandem with my Obsidian notes. I can just take a screenshot of whatever I'm looking at. I can highlight what I need to highlight, and then I can paste it into my notes into Obsidian, and everything just works as intended, right? It just works nice and clean. So that's why I would recommend Flameshot over a lot of the other tools out there. The last application we're going to take a look at is going to be SumatraPDF, and it does what it says. It opens PDF files such as EPUB and all sorts of other formats. Some of them I'm not even familiar with myself. I've mainly used it to open PDFs and a couple of ebooks, to be honest. It does what it says. It just opens stuff in the PDF format or in any of the other formats that it supports, and it does it really well. Unfortunately, SumatraPDF is one of the only Windows-only applications that I showcased in this small video, so it's only working for Windows users. I'm sorry if you're on Mac OS or Linux, but I'm sure if you're on Linux especially, there would be a great alternative in general. Other than that, there's not much to it. It just what it says it does. It opens PDF and it does it flawlessly. It's very responsive. It's very lightweight for your machine. So if you just enjoy having another tool compared to that can really open what you need it to open compared to, for instance, Adobe Acrobat Reader, I highly recommend SumatraPDF. And that is basically it, guys. That will conclude this small video about 5 applications for both Windows, mainly for Windows, but also for some of the other operating systems. I hope you can take something from it, and hopefully you try out these apps, since I recommend all 5 of them very highly. And that's basically it. Hope to see you in the next video. Take care.